Welcome back to the Constructing Profits podcast, a show where we help contractors build more than projects. We help you build profitable, scalable businesses. Today's episode is one that might surprise you. We're not talking about SEO. We're not talking about paid ads. We're not even talking about sales scripts. We're talking about something that most contractors overlook, but it directly impacts how much we can charge for a project, the type of clients that we attract, and how we look online. We're talking about photography. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, hey, Lionel, I build kitchens, I renovate homes, I install roofs. What do I need a professional photographer for? Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about how the digital world really has made photography even more important. And if you want higher value projects, better clients, and stronger positioning your market, visuals matter more than ever. Joining me today is Reanna, a Winnipeg-based brand photographer who works with contractors and service businesses across Canada. She specializes in helping businesses that she calls build a vault of visual assets. Photos don't just sit on your website, but they actually are meant to sell. In this episode, we'll cover why most contractors underuse photography, the biggest mistake that builders make with website images, how storytelling through photos actually helps build trust, what core shots every contractor should have, and how to turn photography from an expense into a revenue driver. If you're serious about leveling up your brand, improving conversions, and positioning your business as premium, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Hi, Reanna. Welcome to the Constructing Profits podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really been looking forward to this conversation. And, and just another example, like we're both in Winnipeg. So for our listeners, Reanna and I are both in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg's known for being a small town or a small world, and people's worlds often collide. So Reanna and myself, we've known each other for many years, working as, clients and marketing agency. And then there was a really interesting situation, Reanna, which you know about, of course, and this is how it came up. We're working with one of our home renovation companies in Winnipeg, and they've got amazing photos. And I'll talk about why that's important. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the file name here. I was like, I know this person. And so I reach out to them. I'm like, hey, do you know Reanna? I'm like, oh yeah, I've known her for years, and they've worked with you for, a good period of time. But anyways, just again, a good example of, the small world, especially within the business community here. So I thought that was funny. And then we've also connected that we know some other people that we both independently work with. So I thought that was funny.
Good people know good people, right?
That's right, for sure. So Reanna, the reason I wanted to talk about this is you're an entrepreneur, and you also, you're running two different businesses, and also, the core business we're talking about today is your work as a photographer. And the reason I wanted to chat with you about this is we work with a lot of home renovation and home service type companies. So basically contractors in one way or another. And one of the challenges that we have with almost all of our clients when they're new is their lack of digital assets. They often have not a lot of great photos. And then some companies that they may have really nice photos, but they're totally disorganized, and it's just a lot of work, for them to, get us the assets that we need, to be able to help market their business. So I was hoping that, with our discussion today, we could really talk about, why is photography so important? It sounds sort of obvious that like we shouldn't even need to talk about this, but, why is photography so important to these types of businesses? And, what is a professional's perspective and opinion on this, and how can they, maximize the value that they're getting out of the work? Because, as you know, Reanna, these companies are doing amazing work already, right? Like the client that we bumped into in Winnipeg, unbelievable transformations to people's homes. Yeah. So they're already doing the hard work. This is just, adding on the photography to make sure to capture the work they're doing, so it makes it easier to earn their next client as well, right? So so that's sort of what got us on this path, Reanna, for this topic, and we can dive into that. But any thoughts just on even what I've shared so far?
Yeah. So I mean, as any buddy who works in trades or who owns companies, we're often surviving our days. So like plumbers, HVAC, they're literally getting calls on the fly. They've got to show up within the hour. So their business isn't as structured as most businesses are. So it's really hard for them to say, okay, I'm going to take 2 to 3 hours or a full day a month and just not take any calls because it could be detrimental to their business. So in my last few years of really kind of diving into trades, it's what I see. It's what I see in every business. That's the common denominator. It's not that they don't want to, upgrade their photography. It's just that they struggle with time.
Yeah.
Um, and like you said, the work that they're doing is incredible and it deserves to be put out there and people need to see what they're doing so they can land those larger clients and just kind of get in front of people because we live in a very digital world now. So if you're not visually appealing, you might lose out on the next client or a bigger project because somebody's got nicer pictures or nicer videos than you do.
No, that's a great point for sure. So we've got a lot of great topics to be able to discuss today. And how about just before we do that, could you share a little bit about who you are and
Yeah.
what you do? Yeah.
So obviously my name is Reanna Ken. I own a photography business here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I service all of Canada. And I work with businesses of all different sizes and all different types. I don't like to niche myself down because I just find it so fascinating to be a small part of every business's journey. I like to tell clients that what I do is an investment in their vault of imagery, right? So when we're working together, usually we don't work together once, we work together over the years. So your projects are always changing, your photography is always changing, but you still have that bank of images that you can constantly roll into. So when you're hiring marketing companies like, farmers marketing or wherever, you're able to actually produce them like, here you go, here's the digital files that you need. So it's an easier transition. So it's a building block.
Yeah, perfect. Well, yeah, and I like your comment about adding to their vault, and we often use the term digital asset, and then talk about what does that
Mhm.
mean. Well, it's digital, obviously, but it's an asset, and an asset is something that continues to build value for your company over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
let's have these assets, and then we can use them in video. We can use them in our email marketing. All like there's just so many uses once we have it, right? But it's very difficult, when we don't have those things, of course. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of businesses, they look at getting those digital assets and they see the kind of sticker shock sometimes,
Mm.
but they don't realize if they align themselves with the right vendor, that they're able to strategically plan out each image, each video that they may need so that it constantly grows with their business. It's not a one-time investment. And I think that's one of the differences in what I do is when I walk into a business, I'm not showing up the day of this on set, the day of just willy nilly taking pictures of everything. I try to go in with a shot list and say, okay, this is what we're doing. These are the services that you're offering. This is how you're making money. So we need to focus on these key images because this is what's going to help your business. Me taking a picture of a blank wall is not helping your business sell the next service, right?
Yeah. So on that point, what in your experience have you found that high quality photography is able to help a client, like one of your clients, then earn higher value clients? Like are they positioned as more high quality, more high touch? Is it more appealing to like that higher echelon of clients, which ultimately then, they can charge more and it's easier to
Mhm.
earn business? What is your experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you take the opportunity to invest in your business, it always is going to pay back to you. So often when we talk about photography, people like jump and like, well, I don't post on Instagram. I don't post on LinkedIn. So why do I need these pictures? But they don't think of, okay, you've got your images represent you in so many different facets. So whether it's your Google ads, whether it's your social media platforms, whether it's your documents that you're actually providing clients with their proposals, the everyday stuff, your website, like your images are literally represented in print, in digital, and all over the place. So you can't just look at it as oh, I'm not on social media, so I don't need images, right? So, and often when you have images that are branded across your platforms in different areas of when people see you, it makes the client have like a little bit of a trust between you. Like, okay, I've seen them on Facebook, but I've also seen them on an ad in my local newspaper, or I've seen them on Google reviews. I've seen them here. And those images that are tying you from each space, like, oh, I remember that house. That's the house down the street. They use this company, da 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 da. It creates this like sense of trust in a world where we don't have much trust anymore on the
Right.
internet. So
Yeah.
definitely brands yourself and makes you stand out.
Yeah, no, great points. And yeah, especially on the trust part, like that's super important with the types of clients that we're working with. There's just a natural, and it's warranted, but a natural skepticism with a typical
Yeah.
homeowner, right? Of choosing the right home services or home renovation company. In a lot of cases, this is big dollars, right? And some companies,
Mhm.
as you know, are better than others. So it's really important that they make the right decision. And definitely, you know, in my experience, and it sounds like yours as well, like having those, you know, good quality digital assets really help someone be more comfortable making a decision. So
Mhm.
one topic I wanted to ask you about is storytelling around photos. And,
Yes.
you know, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what does that mean? And I have a feeling that there's a number of contractors that have never even thought about it. They're like, yes, actually, we've had this exact situation. Like, oh yeah, we have project photos, and you know, they'll be before and afters, but they're not in the same location, but they'll have like tools in the way or Tim Hortons cup and all these things. I'm like, well, that's not really the, you know, that the after and the photo that we're looking for. So maybe as a starting point, like, yeah, tell us a little bit about storytelling and why that's important and what that even would look like.
Yeah. So storytelling in photography is like, it's been around forever, right? When we're looking at like renovation companies specifically, like people think, well, I've got before and after photos, but that's great. But what did you do in between? People see before and afters and it's great, but they have no idea what happened behind the walls, underneath the countertops. Like what was the work that went into it? Who was there? Um, I felt like having stock photos that include like the team that actually goes in, the people that you're meeting, again creates a sense of trust. And it also just makes you more interested in the company because it's like I've seen Lionel on his website, but is he the person who's going to come to my house? Who's showing up at my house? Who's going to be living in my house, renovating this house for the next few months? And what are they doing? Like, why is it costing me so much money to move this wall? And like that storytelling aspect can actually show your client, okay, we moved this wall, but we also had to do all of these things in between. Um, and it gives them a sense of who you are too. So every client is not for every person. Um, the client that we have mutually, the team is absolutely fantastic. They're so warm. They're so welcoming. They are the funnest team ever. And when I first started working with them, I was like, we need this in your photos. Like, you guys are
Yeah.
just fun. Like, you're fun. And I feel like so many people can relate to that. And that's like a quality that stands out between you and potentially your competitor. It's like, I see that fun and I want to be a part of it. Right.
Mhm.
And that all comes in the storytelling of their brand photos.
So on that point, do you often, and I guess it depends on the project. So when we first started talking about this podcast, we were doing a client shoot for one of our clients, and you were heading off to do a roofing shoot. So in that case, you
Yes.
maybe don't have clients in it. But do you ever have do any photo shoots where you have, the homeowner or the client's client in it, like in that space, or are you normally just shooting, the after of the space, whatever has been done, whether it's a new roof or a new kitchen, new bathroom?
I love having clients in it. Obviously, that's a discussion that we need to have with the client first off, if they're
Yeah,
willing to be in it.
yeah,
Most of the time they say yes because they're so excited
yep,
about the work you've done
exactly.
in their home. So they're happy to talk about it. And it's like, it's essentially a testament of the work that you've done that they're happy to be in your photos, and they're proud, right? And having, like I said, the team in the photos is amazing. Like, just sometimes even having, your team walking around looking at the different aspects of the renovation in project. It's just a warmer feeling when there's a person in there.
Yeah, I agree. And um, the reason I had asked is we have a client in Kitchener Waterloo, and they have beautiful photography and a great
Mhm.
social presence. So one of the photos they have that is my favorite is it's a homeowner, this couple in their new kitchen, and they're drinking a glass of wine, but it's
Yeah.
very natural looking, right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't look like a stock photo, but it's that it shows the emotion or the experience that this couple are having in their beautiful new kitchen, right? And I know
Yeah.
that's
And it
not
gives
always
you,
possible, but yeah,
yeah, but it gives you that sense that, like, that could be me. My
exactly.
kitchen could look like this. I'm gonna feel so happy about it, and I'm gonna get to drink that glass of wine at the end of the night with my partner, or have a cup of tea, and just enjoy this space that I don't enjoy right now. Right? So it
Exactly.
gives you those feelings of that kind of pull your heartstrings, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what people ultimately are buying, right? Is, we often talk about that with clients. It's not buying the features or benefits. They're buying that end state, right? Like the drinking of tea in a little reading nook in their home, or,
Yes.
or the wine, or sitting on their deck, or cooking, with their kids, like their kitchen. It's
Yeah.
just not big enough. They can't cook with their kids or grandkids, and they want that experience, right? So I know it's not always possible, but I have seen these photos be really powerful when it does, work out to have the client's client there. And one thing I wanted to touch on that you said, Rihanna, also is you talked about how proud the homeowner is, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I have come across clients where they're a little nervous to ask
Mm.
their client to do a photo shoot or to have them in it. And you said it perfectly, where they almost always say yes. And it's because
Yeah.
they're so excited and proud about it. So it's not like they're doing a favor for this contractor. Like they can't, like, they're excited, to have
Yeah.
that and share it. Right.
And sometimes it's, like, we're both in Winnipeg. We know
Yeah.
that the the referral of the mouth is the most popular referral in this city. And sometimes we, don't have the largest network, but we really want to promote a company. And if they say, can I get 10, 15 minutes of your time to, like, just sit in these images, they're more than happy to do that because you have done so much for them. They feel like it's the least they can do for you. And the
Uh,
worst thing they could do is say no, right?
yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
for
worst
sure.
thing that can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. And actually, one thing I hadn't thought of this and planning for this, and we aren't currently doing, but I do like the idea. I have heard of companies where they actually bake into the proposal with the homeowner that they will do a photo shoot after,
Yeah.
and the way they position it is that they're doing the photo shoot for the homeowner to give them beautiful
Mhm.
photos that they can then share with
Yeah.
their friends and family on social. Because there's a lot of times, like, yes, I want a new kitchen, but I really want to show my friends and family that I have a new kitchen, right?
Yeah.
There's something to that as well.
I had a renovation client, and she does tons of work in the city, and she puts up her projects for different magazines across Canada and different awards and whatever. So often when she's done a project, we'll go and we'll shoot it. And people are always so excited to see their house in a magazine, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
how amazing is that? You just spent a boatload of money on your house, you're so proud of it, and then it shows up in a magazine or something. Like, it's an incredible feeling, and you're proud, and it's like, you worked so hard for this money, you've done
Yeah.
this, and now the whole world gets to see how beautiful your home is, right?
Yeah, a very good insights there. And yeah, so really, what you're sharing is taking a contractor from looking at as an expense and maybe being worried about asking their client if they can do this, to
Mhm.
totally turning that on its head and actually turning it into a value add for the client and something that they're
Yeah.
excited about and that they can share in. So it's the same photo shoot, but how it's positioned, with the homeowner, can make a big difference there for sure.
And as you said, like, when you put it in the contract, you can add in like a yes or no. Like, would you be willing to do a photo shoot? We love to do this for XYZ. And they
Mm,
could put the no or the yes into the contract, so that maybe it takes away that barrier of you having to ask, right? So if that's your barrier, throw it in writing and then they could just read it. So
That's a really good idea. Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, similar example too is, future pacing your client and just even saying, Reanna, when we build this, when we transform your kitchen, we want you to be at a point where you're so excited, that you're going to want to have a photo shoot and share it with all your friends and family and, maybe get in a magazine, those sorts of things. And I know that doesn't happen on every job, but it's again, painting that future vision of what it'll be like when this transformation to their home is done. Right. And tying in the photo shoot there as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on to the next topic, just to dive in a little deeper here, what do you feel are the core shots that every, contractor should have?
So
And
what I
I
mean,
guess you could look at this in different stages, but let's maybe start at the minimum, even like the phase 1 and then phase 2, because I know you want to have more of a relationship with someone ongoing. But
yeah, absolutely. So when I meet with a client, the first thing I do is I hear out their story. I listen to their what their company values are, what they're doing in the community XYZ. Um, but basically you need team shots, headshots. Those are probably, you want those in your arsenal. Even if you're not going to use them right away, it's always nice to have it in your bank. And then I would say pick your top 3 to 4 services that you offer. So what are your money makers? What are your planned to be money makers? So are you offering a new service in the next 6 months to 12 months? And those are what you need in your bank. So when you're looking at your 1 to 3 years of your business, what makes you the most money? What will make you the most money? And what are you planning in the future? And those are the images that you need, because that's what you're selling. And that's what's allowing you to pay for your photos, right? So,
mm,
and in those services, you want to take pictures of, where it started, if it's a renovation company, where it started, people at work throughout, and then the completion, right? So
okay. Well, that's perfect. And can you think of any examples of, I guess real world examples where you have done this for someone? And the company that we again work with in Winnipeg, they're a perfect example. Like they would be, if we could pick a model that every one of our clients have,
yeah.
like they would be at just, they've got photos for every project. It's organized.
Mm,
And speaking with the owner, we were working on their new website and they were coming up with project profiles of each one. And
yeah.
the owner wrote like 42 project profiles over a weekend. Like he's just a machine. So a model client, but from your perspective there, can think of some examples where you feel the client really did everything right and what was the impact to their business, if any,
Yeah.
examples come
So
to mind.
with them in mind, when I met them, they do a lot of photo shoots. They are no they've always invested in their marketing since the beginning. And when I met them and kind of broke down like the way we just talked about, they were like, okay, this is what we're missing. So it was like, when we met them, it was like, I need to see your office. Where they have their warehouse, I was like, people want to see this. We're nosy, right? As
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
beings, we're nosy. We love HGTV. We want to see where you work,
Yeah.
right? So I went into their warehouse. It's like, this is where we're going to do your team headshots. And they all looked at me. They're like, no, 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 it's dirty. It's dusty. I was like, people want to see you doing your cabinetry. People want to see where you're working, where their materials are coming from. So let's do some shots of, the guys sanding some cabinetry. They're cutting it. They're sitting on top of the machines having fun because they're super fun people.
Yeah. There. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got the team and the sales team in the office, like, working on proposals, putting things together on the phone with clients. And then, they had another team meeting area where we took some pictures of them meeting in their meeting room, which is not even a client space, but it's still cool to see as an outsider. And when they got these images, they're like, holy moly, like these are the images that we were missing in our arsenal, because we didn't have images that we could kind of stock photo images, but of their business that they can throw on these proposals, that there's massive proposals they're doing, has
Yeah.
all of these beautiful finished spaces, but it felt cold, right? Because there was no personality to it. It was just a bunch of rooms. But where were the people in the rooms? Where were the
Mm.
people working? Like, how are they developing these ideas that were going on to these walls and these kitchens? So, like, again, a company that really heavily invested in their marketing, and they didn't realize that like those images could really change how a client felt reading their proposals.
Yeah, no, that's all great points there. Can you think of an example where you've had someone like this company in particular? And I'll make sure to share in the podcast notes a number of different companies to share some best practices. And if you could even help point some out, that would be great. But can you think of any clients you've had where they had almost no photography, like you're starting
Yeah.
from scratch, and what was
Yeah.
their experience going through this for the first time? Because we often work with clients like they maybe have a homemade website, or they don't even have a website. Like they just
Yeah.
haven't done these things. So once people have done it, they all go, oh, okay, I get it. I see why I should invest in this, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes that first time is
Mhm.
tough for them to make the decision to say, hey, yes, I want to do a professional photographer, a photo shoot. So can you think of any examples, yeah, where the client had nothing, and then what their
Mhm.
experience was?
They were terrified
Yeah.
because it's the unknown, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I don't want to be on camera because my hair's not perfect, my nails aren't perfect, or I don't have the uniform. And I was like, okay, let's slow down. Um, and let's start this one step at a time. Like if we do the photo shoot tomorrow, it's not going to be good. So let's plan it out. So do you have merch, right? Because if we're taking pictures of your team and you're a construction company, you should have your logo on your shirts. We shouldn't be wearing a bunch of mismatched, uncoordinated outfits that
Mm,
don't make sense. So it's teams like that. A lot of it is the steps that they need. They feel like having a photo shoot is such a big deal. But you just need to break it down, take your time, plan it out, um, and take, like I said, the key images. You don't need every photo. You don't need 200 photos on your first session. You need a good 30 to 50 photos. Start there. After you get through your first photo shoot and you see the images and you're like, okay, I'm going to start using this everywhere, because now you're picturing where you can place these images. And then you say, okay, for my next shoot, this is what I'm missing. So we did the initial shoot where I didn't necessarily have a good grasp of what I needed. But the second time around, you're like, I was writing this document and I would have loved to have this photo here. Or we were going to do a Google ad of my tire repair shop, but you know what? I didn't even have a picture of my tire repair shop or people working in it, right? So once you do that first images where you get that first shoot where you kind of get, your headshots, your team shots, and a couple core services in there, you get your first 30 to 50 images. You live with it for,
yeah.
a month or two, and then you say, okay, this is how I'm using it, and it can get better if I do this.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
guys got to take bite-sized
yeah.
notes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So do not overthink it and try and get every photo for every aspect of your business at
Yes.
first. Yeah, I'm sure you see this happen quite a bit. And we were joking just before we started recording about
Hmm.
how you did a photo shoot for one of our clients, and it's easily been three to 4 years we've been speaking with this client about doing a photo shoot, and they were just always busy and never got to it. And finally we were able to get the date in place, but the photo shoot hadn't even ended, and they're already like, hey, you're coming to our other location too, right? Like, we need to schedule that. And so yeah, it was really great, yeah, just to see how excited they were. And the second location, they were miffed because they weren't included in the photo shoot. And so yeah, we'll be back
They
there
were
again. But yeah.
so into it. When I got
Yeah.
there, they're like, "Oh, I don't know." They were like stressed out. And within like 10, 15 minutes, they were like, "All right, like let's do this, let's do this, let's photo shoot." Like they were so into it. And the ideas started popping off in their heads of all the things that they had that was unique to their competitors. So I was like, okay, make a list, make a list. Let's plan the next
Yeah.
shoot. But it's again, when you're not putting a lot of thought into it, you don't realize how much of images that you could use as your business to make it more, to show people what you do, right?
So, and I believe you call that initial shoot a brand shoot, or something along those lines.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So brand shoot is just basically taking your brand as a business, what you do, who you are, your fabrication, and putting it in an image.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I know, since we've been talking, again, we've known each other for years, but even say over this last year, we've worked together on a number of photo shoots, but we've incorporated this into, building a new website where we just bake it into our price of the website where we have an on-site brand shoot. So again,
I
very
love that.
difficult to build a beautiful website when there's no photos, right? So, if
Yeah,
we can get, 25 to 30 awesome photos, at least as a start, we can always get more and build, add more to the website. But yeah, that's been very, very valuable, and it's helped us
yeah,
produce much better quality end results for sure. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will
So
say that.
yeah, go.
Oh, no, I was
Yeah,
gonna
no,
say,
sorry, go
I was
ahead. I
just
cut
gonna
you off.
add. I was gonna add on. I was gonna say, a lot of people think that every image they need to use has to be professional, and it doesn't. A lot of my clients blend a lot of their professional images with like their own phone images, especially for like social media where you don't really need a high resolution image for Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. You can use a phone photo and blend it into your marketing plan and it'll look seamless,
Yeah.
right? So you
Yeah.
don't always, if you're on a site and you're like, oh my God, that's such a cool photo, and you take a photo, don't be scared to like mix it in with your professional images and blend it and make your own secret sauce of marketing photos. It works really, really well. I have a lot of real estate clients who do that. And their feed still looks extremely professional because they've got those high res images, but then they've got a little bit of their own and it gives it a more of their own
Yeah.
personality.
Okay, Rihanna, that's a great point. Yeah. So when they already have the brand shoot and other photos from you, at least they'll have some sort of guide that they'll be able to use when they're doing their own photos,
Yes.
something to match. It obviously won't, be the same as what you're able to produce, but it'll be in the same realm at least. So that's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so jump into the next couple topics, and we can wrap up here. But what are some common mistakes that you find contractors would make relating to photography and their websites and portfolios?
So, one thing that you and I have discussed in length in the past, is not using high res photos for websites. Um, Even, like, if you're doing Google Ads and whatever, if you have a low quality image, um, and it takes a long time to load, no one's waiting. Our attention span is so low. If I can't make out that photo, I'm going to the next contractor or the next business on the list. And same thing if I'm going onto your website, but I can't get a mobile view on my website, um I'm not looking at it, right? Like, I'm just gonna be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this is too much. I'm gonna go to the next one because I don't know you, right? So, first impressions matter. So, sometimes you've gotta really look at, like, okay, with my speed of my internet or of my website, how does my mobile view of my website and, like, my graphics look? Because at the end of the day, most of us are Googling or searching businesses on our phones. We're not gonna go sit at
yeah,
our computer anymore. So yeah, that and hazy images that you can't make out, terrible, especially when you have a stunning photo. Like, splurge and get the high res image for sure.
yeah. No, that's an excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up because yeah, we see that a lot. So think about it. Yeah, contractors feeling good because they've made this investment in someone like
Yeah,
yourselves. And what's a typical like a high res image size? Like how big would that like?
like a 300 DPI should be pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but it would be like several megabytes, right? Or
Yeah,
yeah, so it'd be a huge file. So they're feeling good about themselves, and then they dump 100 super high res photos on their website. Yeah, and it just grinds it to a halt. So that yeah, great pro tip. And Rihanna, I know when you finish a project, you have the high res photos and then also the web ready photos.
yeah,
And I don't know if we've talked about this, but like we always run photos through something called Tiny PNG, or
yes,
also
yes,
in WordPress, you can get I think it's like WP compressor or something like that. We'll put it in the show notes, but it compresses the images. And I remember when I was in a corporate role in the past, I'd always argue with my designer because I said like we need these photos ready for a website, and he's like, oh, I exported them from Photoshop, they're web ready. And I'm like, no, that's not good enough. And I would show him, and I don't know how many times we had this argument, but I would run it through Tiny PNG and it would shrink the photos another like 75%. So it doesn't make them smaller or less good quality. It's just making the the weight, if that's the right term, but the weight of the photo is much smaller. So now your beautiful looking website can be lightning fast as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's really, really important.
right
Like,
on.
think
That,
about when you're on social media, if a video takes forever to load, you're not gonna sit and watch it. You're gonna be like, "I've got 5 minutes to waste time. I'm gonna keep scrolling," right?
yeah, for sure. So you must see this all the time, and I use the word hate very rarely, but I would use it relating to stock images. But what are your thoughts on stock images, and do you see that quite a bit, when you're meeting with prospective clients?
Yes. I'm trying to be very nice here. I despise stock images. And one of the reasons why is, as you know, I own another business. And when I first started that business and we made like our own website, I used all the stock images and I was like, this website's beautiful. The images are great. No one's going to know it's our company. And then several other people in the exact same field had the
Yeah,
same website as us. And
yeah,
I was like, okay. This just took all the guesswork out of it. No one's gonna
yeah,
pick me, right?
yeah,
Stock images are great used in small amounts. So if you're in a bind and you need something, albeit grab a stock image,
yeah,
it's okay. But I wouldn't rely on them. I would say they're kind of your plan C, D, or E. When searching for an image, you should really have your own bank of images that you can rely on. And then again, it goes back to the storytelling. Like, I took this image of this home. I was in this kitchen with the homeowner. You might know that homeowner. It creates a bond. It creates a story. It creates a point of reference for the client. Whereas if you're taking a stock image, you might as well it's
yeah.
very bland.
Yeah. Well, and there's also a difference between a stock image and a stock image, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
you'll see a client we were working with, a renovation company, and they had hired some other company to like do social posts for them. And it was all like just on autopilot. But, and this is a company in Canada, but it was very European looking, like
Mhm.
the cabinetry and everything. And they
Yeah.
built, like, do amazing, beautiful custom cabinetry and everything. But it was like very European looking, and everyone's wearing like blue jumpsuits. And so I asked, I was like, "Do your staff wear blue jumpsuits?" And they're like, "No." And like, this company won't stop posting these, on our profiles. So like that looks terrible. And or you'll have a technician or a carpenter, and they've got like brand new gear, like their hammer doesn't have a scratch on it. Like those things are clearly, I don't know where these stock images, like why they look so fake, but that's just how they are. So you can get photos from somewhere else, like, Canva or wherever. Just
Yeah.
at least pick ones that don't look like, they're super fake, or they would stand out,
Y
on,
yes.
on your website for sure. Yeah.
And again, you use them strategically, right? So, like,
Yeah.
I might use a stock image maybe on a social media post, or I might use it potentially on a website if I'm using it. If I want a picture of a city that I don't have, sure. But you don't want to be using your stock images for your main images or your important images. Like your service, like the services that you provide, shouldn't be a stock image. It should really be your service.
Definitely. Yeah, no, great points there. And actually, one thing that you had mentioned, and I know you do it really well, I have your website open right now, but uh, you there's a lot of value in putting these photos to work as well. And what I mean there, and you just described this, but like on your website, for example, you'll, in your portfolio, you'll have an example of a brand shoot, but you talk about who the client is, what they're looking for, their challenge, and you add some context, and the same sort of thing. So when like we have an SOP for contractors, and how they can create project profiles. So they're taking all the assets that you have, but rather
Mhm.
than just dumping all the photos, saying, "Hey, this is a house in, River Heights, as a professional couple, 3 kids, 2 dogs. This is what they're looking for." And then that helps add that extra context and storytelling to the photo. And then that's really the best case, right? Where you're able to
Yeah.
have both of those elements coming together. So yeah,
And then it showcases too how other companies are using it, right? So if you see a photo on my website of somebody you know, and then you go onto their website and you see how they're using their images, that's like a referral on its own that
hmm,
I've just literally put a little bit of work into, but the viewer is able to be like, oh, I know Lionel, I know his business. Let me see how he uses his images. Where does he put this? Oh, this is how he does this. So it creates its own story on its own.
Sure. So let me throw some lightning round questions at you here, Rihanna.
Let's do it.
First question is, what is the most underrated photo that every builder or contractor should get?
The most underrated photo.
Yeah.
To be honest, this is going to sound basic, but I'm going to say headshots and team shots. People want to know
Okay.
who you are and who you're working with.
Perfect. Okay, so that's important. So that's that right at the top of the list there. So those
Yeah,
team shots and headshots, awesome. And those are the ones that I found people normally get most worked up about, right? Again, it's all about the hair and the background and all these things.
yeah,
Where again, just you don't normally get your hair done before if you're a carpenter working on a job site, right? So we want to have a mix, I guess, of looking our best, but also being authentic, right? And it's finding that
absolutely.
blend, right? So how about the best time or day for
Mm.
a photo shoot?
So when it comes to most businesses, I usually say the beginning of the day because you haven't submerged yourself into the survival of your day yet. You're still clear-headed. You've taken the first 2 hours of your day to get your photo shoot done, and then you can go right into work mode and not have to be interrupted for the rest of the day.
Okay, all right, good point.
I
So
mean, if
they're
we're
they're
doing it
they're fresh
outside, we
and
better look at the
yeah,
sun, but usually it's
yeah,
the beginning of the day.
yeah. Because if it's outside, I believe again you're the expert here, but midday is generally the worst, right? Is that
Yeah.
just because of the
We
placement
don't
of the
want the
sun? Yeah,
sun on top of us. We want it to the
yeah.
side.
Okay, perfect. All right, great tips there. What's one shot that instantly makes a contractor look more professional?
Um, so a shot with a contractor or their team in branded merch, whether it's a t-shirt with your logo, a hat with your logo, a pen with your logo on it, all of those things add the full experience to the person watching the photo.
Great. No, great advice there. And actually, it made me think of a photo shoot we did a couple months ago, right? And one of the, for the client, one of the main delays was they didn't have any branded merchandise, right? So on
Yeah.
your recommendation, they got it and then did it. And when we posted the first few photos on social and on their new website, they had so many comments from their clients just talking about how awesome the photos were and just they looked like like their personality came through really, really well. So that
Yeah.
was a great call on your part there for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. So how about DIY gear that
Okay.
every contractor should have in their truck?
So obviously a cell phone is your easiest for pictures. Don't any type of phone has amazing quality images on it that you can use. Little selfie sticks or mobile sticks are always great. Recently, I invested in the Ray-Ban Meta glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing, because all you have to do is just like hit the side and it starts recording what's in front of you or taking a photo of what you're seeing. So if you're looking to get a lot of behind the scenes kind of nitty gritty photos that they don't have to be so polished or videos, it's a couple $100. It syncs to your phone. Such amazing. It's better than having to, hold your phone and, like, record people because sometimes that feels uncomfortable for somebody who's not
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
it. So when it's on your face and you just hit a button and it starts recording, the audio is really crisp, the photo imagery is great. I highly recommend.
So everyone should have a set of those Meta glasses then. Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I saw
they're
those at the photo shoot we did together and yeah, you were raving about them just like you are now, but yeah, they look really
yeah.
cool. So yeah.
A lot of,
Well,
like, my own behind the scenes content that I
yeah.
post on social media is from the glasses just because it's so much easier for me, and then I can stay in the moment interacting with my client.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I hadn't thought about that, but no, that's a really good one. And then anything else relating to that, in terms of the photos,
Mhm.
anything quick that you'd have around like lighting, about having lighting behind
Yeah.
them, or I know even video. Like we often give our new clients, we'll send them a gimbal, right, just to connect to their
Oh, no.
smartphone. But at least that keeps their phone still, and if they're doing videos, nice and smooth. But anything else you can think of, little tips there to get the maximum out of their smartphone?
Yeah, so you always want lighting in front of you, never behind you. It's gonna create lots of shadows if it's in front of you. Um, and don't be scared to play with your angles, right? So if you're going to take a photo of something in front of you, take it from the side, take it from the top, move around your space. And then, afterwards, when you're looking at your images, you might see what you like. And the more that you do it, the more that you're able to figure out what you like and what you want to do and how you want to represent your photos.
Okay. Oh, great tips there. Perfect. Well, just to start wrapping up here, Reanna, can you think of one final mindset or habit that you'd love to see contractors have when it comes to, I guess their philosophies or how they would look at photos in general and investing in a professional photographer like yourself?
Yeah. So, first of all, when you're looking for a photographer, you should be looking for somebody who's going to give you a pre-consult. So that's someone who's going to sit down and learn your business and take the time to understand what you need out of them. And you should always be planning. I know we don't have a lot of time, but planning a photo shoot could take 15 minutes for a 2-hour shoot. So take the time to really do that. At the beginning of the year, when you're sitting down planning out your projects for the year, kind of take a note of this is going to be a really great project. This is going to have really great DIYs and sorry, not DIYs, behind the scenes storytelling that we can do. So invite your photographer, your videographer on set for those days. Those pictures don't have to be posed. I can come like a fly on the wall and be like, okay, you're a moving company and you're gonna wrap up all this stuff. Let me just take photos. It might be a little slower, so we might need to have a little bit more time with that client or at that client's house. So add an extra hour or two and let's do the photo shoot while we're doing the work. That's okay too sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah,
All
just
right.
planning out your jobs, what's going to look good, and making the investment in your photography, but taking it seriously. So again, don't just pay a photographer to show up on set willy-nilly taking photos. Be very strategic about what you're going to do with it and what photos you need.
All right. Awesome. Well, great advice there. Thank you. So just the last point here, Reanna, and you mentioned that you're in Winnipeg and service all of Canada, but if someone would like to reach out to you to have that consultation and
Yeah.
potentially hire you for a photo shoot, where can we send people, to reach
Um,
or to connect with you?
The best way is through, I would say my website, rihannacan.com, or my email, info@rihannacan.com. Social media, it's all Rihanna Can, so you'll be able to find me on there. But yeah, I'd love to come in and you know what, a consult's always free. I'm happy to come in and just grab a coffee with you and talk about if photography is worth it for your business and how you can use it to kind of bolster what you're already doing in your business.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of your advice today. We had a great discussion, and it really has been a pleasure working with you over the years. And I'm looking forward to many more collaborative projects where we're able to help improve how our mutual clients are looking in the marketplace and just help them put their best foot forward and earn more and more business with the right clients. So thanks again for sharing everything today here on the Constructing Profits podcast. And we'll look forward to speaking to you next time, Reanna.
Bye.
As a business owner, do you ever get the feeling that something is just off in your business? Sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it, but it's almost like we're just getting half of the story. Well, that's exactly what it's like to not have a strategic sales and marketing strategy in place. If you would like to have a team dive into your business, find all of the things that you're doing really well at, areas for improvement, what order of importance all of those action items should be in to be able to impact revenue and profit in your business, please go to constructingprofits.com and book a strategic consult today. Finally, I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening to the Constructing Profits podcast. Assuming you found a lot of value today, and I really hope that you did, please share it with a fellow contractor who's looking to aggressively grow their business. We'd love to have a conversation with them. Now, in this episode, we shared actionable insights. We're not saying things just for shits and giggles. We want you to be able to get some nuggets and actually apply them to your business right now. So think about this past episode. What was the one thing that you could implement in your business today and go and do it? Okay? So let's build strong, let's build smart, and let's build a profitable business. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.